Hi Virgo, happy birthday and welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your September 2021 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a Celtic cross spread as always. And also I pulled an Oracle card and a Mudra card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus will be as far as that goes. So, let's see what we get. Okay, we have Mercury. So Mercury's actually going to be in Libra pretty much. Trying to think. Yeah, pretty much all of September. And it is going to go retrograde toward the end of September. So it's going to be in shadow most of September. All right. We have Aries. So that's actually your 8th house of intimacy, death, rebirth, investments. And we have 9. So the 9th house, that's Taurus. We have Uranus in that sign currently. All right, so we'll keep those in mind as we go along. All right, getting started with the main situation position. We have the Sun, and we have the 8 of Swords. So this already reminds me of your reading for last month. I remember the title I gave it, I believe, was When You Believe It. And basically the theme around it, for those of you who didn't see that, was I felt like there was positive energy around you, but for whatever reason you were reluctant to see it as for what it was. And I was saying, where usually you might approach things from the perspective of, I'll believe it when I see it. I felt like you kind of had to flip that and say, I'll see it when I believe it, meaning that you actually had to believe that those things were possible for you, and then you'd see them reflected in your outward environment. So I'm kind of seeing this as a continuation of that energy, quite frankly. But could talk about it a little bit. I could just be saying that there could be some success, or maybe even you have some opportunity for some play, right? To get out, have a little bit of fun, and maybe you're just really wrapped up in career things right now, because this is Gemini energy, which for you guys is your 10th house of career and social status. And we do have the North Node in those degrees of Gemini. So it's wrapping up its transit there. So you guys might feel like, you're wrapping up some heavy focus around your career at this time. But yeah, like I said, other than that, I feel like there's something that's out there. And for whatever reason, it looks like you guys might not be seeing it clearly right now. All right. In the challenger obstacle position, we have the 5 of Wands. So this is actually Leo energy here. And for this to come up in the challenge position, given that Leo's your 12th house, could just be saying that, you have too many competing ideas in your mind, and maybe that's part of what's preventing you from moving forward. So you could just be stuck in your head a little bit. We did just have that, at the time of recording this, we just had that new moon recently in Leo, and that was pretty intense, and it was square Uranus in your 9th house. So you just might have been getting a lot of insights on things, but at the same time, I feel like you're having a bit of difficulty bringing those ideas you have into harmony with each other. All right, in the foundation position, we have the World. So given the energies we see right there, for some of you might not have reached a completion point yet, but I feel like this is saying that it's nearby, it's on the horizon for sure. Maybe you're still just reflecting on things, but another way of looking at it too could just be saying that you've already reached that point, but for whatever reason you're failing to see that. So, just really try to go inward a little bit, reflect and see, are there some big lessons you've learned recently? And if so, do you feel ready to integrate them in your lives? It looks like, whatever the case, it doesn't look like you'd be repeating those lessons with this coming up and upright. And we do see the fixed energies in this card too. So, we're still in Leo season at the time I'm recording this. So as we progress through the rest of Leo season, you might feel like you hit this point. And then by the time you're in September, you would have already done it. All right. In the past position, we got quite a few cards that came up. We have the Emperor, which is Aries, Justice, which is Libra, Judgment, which I usually view as Scorpio, and 3 of Pentacles, which is Capricorn. So a lot going on here. Given that toward the end of September we'll be moving into Libra season, this could just be saying that you might be, you might have been reflecting on something from back in Aries season. whatever the case may be, it looks like this was definitely related to finances for the majority of you, given that we do see 8th house and then 2nd house for you guys. With judgment, some of you just could have even gone the legal route too. So maybe you made some investments in something, and whatever the situation, things might have gone a bit off the rails with you actually physically getting the money that was owed to you. Might have had to pursue legal recourse for that. If that's the case, I feel like it did work out in your favor, and you actually were able to recuperate some of what was lost. Let's see what else comes to mind with this. That's primarily what I'm getting from that. It could be, yeah, it's really just coming across primarily as investments. For some of you, this can be around a relationship too. I do have to say, if we think about Aries representing the self, Libra representing the other, the judgment, and then we see that collaborative effort with the Three of Pentacles energy there. Could just be saying it was a relationship situation as well that needed to be rectified, and if that's the case, it looks like you guys were able to do so in the past. All right. Oh, for some of you, that could also be possibly around some kind of inheritances too. I forgot to mention that. So maybe there was some kind of dispute over who should get what, those types of things. But just wanted to mention that. In the present position, we have the 7 of Swords. So this is Aquarius energy here. And usually this points to deception, but here I feel like this is just saying to be mindful of not taking shortcuts this month. That's really how it's coming across to me. And also just try not to hurry yourselves too. However weird it might sound, I'm almost getting the image of someone, just really rushing through a meal, right? Because they're always on the go. So like, oh, I'm just going to rush and eat this and keep moving. Given that for you guys, Aquarius energy is your 6th house. But for others of you still, this can just be pointing to maybe some deception coming to light around the time of the 2nd Aquarius full moon, because we haven't had that yet. So at the time of recording this, it would make sense for that to show up in the present. And so keep an eye out for that, because that full moon, well, we had one right at the very start of Leo season, and we're going to have one toward the very end of Leo season, and it's going to be conjunct Jupiter retrograde. So if there was some kind of deception here, even though this has shown up in the past, like that might have already been rectified, if that hasn't been the case, be on the lookout for something to come to light around the time of that 2nd Aquarius full moon. And with the Sun and the 8 of Swords there, it could just be telling you to, you might have to take the blindfold off there and be on the lookout for that. For those of you who don't watch this until we're physically in September, you might want to look back to that time and see if anything pops out at you. All right, in the near future position, we have the Queen of Wands. So this is Aries energy here, just like we saw in the past. And again, like I said, it did come up in your dice too. So there could be a lot of focus around investments, intimacy, death to rebirth. So like I said, for some of you, this might have been an inheritance if you experienced a loss recently. If that's the case, my condolences. But whatever the case, looks like the energy is softening up here, right? I mean, if we look at the contrast between the two, clearly we see the Emperor is quite guarded, right? Very much masculine energy. We see the beard and everything, which points to that. And now, same energy, Aries energy, but now we see the much more feminine side of that, right? Not nearly as guarded, not nearly as protected. So, could just be saying that there's more of a flow and a movement around investments and intimacy as well. Like I said, could definitely point to that too. And when we think intimacy, we tend to gravitate more towards thinking of the sexual aspect, but that could just be openness around connections too. All right. In the position of your influence in the situation, we have the Knight of Swords in reverse. So this card is infamous for popping up for my readings when we have Mercury retrograde coming up, but usually it does so in the upright, and usually that makes sense to me because I'm like, okay, he's moving toward the past position in the spread, so that makes me think of the retrograde, right? But here we're seeing him come up in reverse, so moving toward the future. But in a way, with this in reverse, I feel like this is saying that you guys are kind of dug in right now. That 8 of Swords energy made me think that as well. I feel like there's probably a lot of thoughts going through your minds, but you're not quite ready to act on them just yet. Let's see what else. And this can be around career too, of course, like I said, because for you guys, Gemini is your 10th house. So, yeah, looks like there's probably, I feel like this is saying the thought process is going to be pretty robust, but I feel like you're just not quite expressing what you're thinking about. or just taking action toward whatever those thoughts are, at least not at this time. All right. In the environment position, we have the Six of Wands in reverse. So if this represents your energy, this could just be pointing to possibly why you're not moving right now, because you might feel like there's not a potential for victory, right? You might feel like there's no room to win. Six of Wands in reverse makes me think back to the Five of Wands, which we see there, right? Which usually represents an energy of where everyone's determined to hold on to their perspective, right? I mean, we see in the artwork there's clearly no collaborative effort, right? Everyone's trying to do their thing their way. There doesn't seem to be communication to figure out, okay, how best can we make this work for everyone? So that could be part of why you're withholding a little bit. If you're just in an environment that you feel like it's not supportive for you, you're like, you know what's the point of even putting in the effort? It's not really going to benefit me. So I feel like for some of you, that could be why you're withdrawing a little bit at this time. And I do have to say this can be residual effects from that new moon in Leo that I mentioned that we just had, because it was in those degrees of Leo. This represents the middle 10 degrees of Leo. So it could just be something that took place around that time. And as we move into September, you might feel like, okay, the damage is done. There's not really any way to rebuild it, to repair it, or whatever the case may be. So that's what I'm feeling there. And again, like I said, this can just point to the theme that I felt for you guys last month, where there might have been a little bit of a lack of optimism too. So just try to be realistic with yourselves and feel out which of those scenarios it is for you. All right. In the hopes or fears position, we have the Lovers. So this is the major arcana card for Gemini. So pretty positive energy to see here. Now with this in the hopes or fears position, I feel like this is saying that, you're hoping for balance for one, right? We did see Libra energy in the past as well. But also I feel like this is saying that you're hoping for things to be worked out behind the scenes. So like I mentioned, if there was some kind of deception at play, maybe even took some legal recourse around that. Maybe it hasn't come to light just yet. It looks like it very well might. Like I said, primarily I'm seeing that as that second full moon in Aquarius. So by the time we're physically in September, you would have already seen that, I feel. But that could vary from timeline to timeline. But yeah, with this there, I feel like this is primarily what it's saying. You just want things to be worked out behind the scenes. You might not feel like you're too eager to push things forward yourselves. You're just kind of hoping that, okay, I'm just hoping for karma to work things out right now. Can be around a relationship, but like I said, I feel like it's just more, I don't know, I'm not getting much of a romance vibe there, but it could definitely be. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the Fool in reverse. So similar energies that we've seen elsewhere in the spread, the Eight of Swords, Knight of Swords in reverse, Six of Wands in reverse. It looks like whatever the case, this month it doesn't look like you guys are going to be making any big leaps forward. Like I said, we will have that Mercury retrograde as we get toward the end of September too, and that's going to be in your house of finances. So when it comes to financial risk, that might be a smart thing, given that we do see the Two of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So if you're on the fence about some kind of investments, this might not be the best time to jump into something new. Although I will say, like I said, given that represents 8th house energy for you guys, it looks like there will be more of an opening. So if you're not feeling like it's open for you right now, maybe as you get a little bit later into the month, you might feel that a little bit. But just keep in mind that there will be that either Mercury in shadow or retrograde energy, depending on when in the month. So just make sure you look at things carefully before you do make investments. And from what I'm seeing, it looks like you're in a pretty guarded, reserved position right now anyway. So the majority of you are probably going to do that regardless. And keep in mind, we did see Mercury come up as your dice too, so around communication, just make sure that you're picking up on things clearly and you're coming across clearly to others when it comes to making any kind of deals around finances too. All right, so moving on to your oracle cards. First, we have Peace. There's the artwork, and the number is 23. So, pretty positive card here, of course. We'll see what it says in the book. And if this was around some kind of conflict, that certainly can be the case with the Five of Wands. In that regard, that could be what the Knight of Swords in reverse and Six of Wands in reverse is pointing to there, saying peace as far as you're like, you know what, it's not even any point to pushing this issue any further. I'm just going to withdraw and let things kind of resolve themselves, but we'll see what it says. All right, it says freedom from attachment, radical acceptance. The Oracle's message. It doesn't get any better than this. A quiet mind, a heart fulfilled, freedom from want, and the soul's satisfaction. The way to peace is through radical acceptance. Everything in your world is exactly as it should be. Harmony is beautiful. Enjoy it. So, pretty positive message there. And for some of you, that could be pointing to what all this is about, too. Your lack of a desire to move forward towards something could also be pointing to that, which is to say, your lack of desire to move towards something new is because you're content with where you are now. So that's certainly one way I could see it playing out. I didn't necessarily feel that at first with these cards, but that's certainly a possibility too. And we would hope so, because that's definitely a more positive interpretation. So hopefully that resonated with some of you. The relationship says, when two people are in true alignment with one another, they have an innate harmony between them. They are as two perfectly tuned instruments playing together. Sometimes it's impossible to tell who is who. Peace is yours, and it is to be savored. So pretty positive message there. Like I said, I didn't get like a huge relationship vibe as a whole for the spread, but in another sense, that could be what that Six of Wands could be pointing to in reverse there too, if that represents another person, where it could just be saying that there's no more desire to win, right? As far as, okay, it's not about who wins, right? It's about just happiness. So in that regard, that could be how that's playing out for some of you. The prosperity message says, this is one of those times when you're capable of clear vision about your work and how you create your prosperity. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. You're called by a presence to step into your power. Just being isn't enough, for you are in peaceful harmony with spirit, and it shows in your work. All right. Excuse me, I said just being is enough. I can't remember. I think I might have said isn't there. So let me read that last sentence again. It says, just being is enough, for you are in peaceful harmony with spirit, and it shows in your work. So yeah. Like I said, for some of you, maybe all this energy I'm seeing as stillness here is more of like a Zen stillness as opposed to an anxiety-fueled stillness. So hopefully that's the case for most of you, but that's what we got there. And then you guys got a second card that came up too, and we have Deep Knowing. There's the artwork, and the number there is 43. So that would also point to like kind of a Zen, just knowing deep down that you're where you need to be. So hopefully that is the case for most of you, but we'll see what it says there. It says intuition, listening to the oracle within, empathy, hypersensitivity. The oracle's message. Intuition is the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with source, the consciousness that you are a part of but cannot see with the naked eye. It's perplexing that people are taught to ignore this natural capacity to navigate their journeys, to access their inner guidance. Know that you have an ability to read between the lines and find all the truth that was missing when the story was told. This deep knowing allows you to open the door to wisdom far greater than what is available in the limitations of human experience. You're given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind or five senses, but which is 100% true and correct. The trick is to listen and then to act accordingly. You're now invited into the sacred dialogue of deep knowing, so tune in and trust your vibes. They will be right. Ask and you will receive answers from unusual sources. So interesting message there, because that calls me back to the Sun card with the Eight of Swords, where, like I said, it seems like there's something that's out there, clear as day, but for whatever reason you guys might not be seeing it. So putting that together with this message could just be saying that if you are getting some intuitive insights and for whatever reason you're doubting them, they could be coming across very clearly to you, but for whatever reason, like, I don't know if I'm just imagining this in my head or what, could just be saying you might need to trust that. All right, the relationship message says there are occasions when you just know, deep in your heart and soul, that a person is going to play a meaningful role in your life. Someone crosses your path and suddenly, out of the blue, you're connected at a level impossible to describe. That feeling marks a moment in time etched indelibly onto your soul. Someone has entered your life who will be instrumental in your journey, so pay attention. Two hearts are calling to each other to begin an alchemical process. This is also a sign that your intuition about the person you care about is correct. Trust your heart to lead you now. Magic is about to happen. So pretty positive message there, and like I said, with that Five of Wands in the challenge position, and then seeing the Knight of Swords and the Six of Wands in reverse, if this is around a one-to-one relationship, it could just represent both parties putting their weapons down. Like I said, if this is more of an ego conflict type thing you guys were getting into, especially since we do see the Seven of Swords there too, the Eight of Swords, could just be saying that both sides might just be, willing to put their guards down and just come together in harmony. So if that resonated with you, and the prosperity message says this is a time when your hunches will pay large dividends if you listen to them, take the risk, and act. Within you there is an oracular consciousness, a higher and deeper knowing that transcends imaginations of the smaller thinking mind. At the deep level of your intuitive senses, you have an access point to the genius of the collective, the energies of all thinkers and creators, all inventors and leaders, and all that you need in order to leap into success are available to tune into. This is an act of listening intently. Past the busy mind, your genius awaits. So pretty positive message there. And that brings me back to what I was saying as far as investments go, where we see the Emperor energy, but moving to the Queen of Wands. So like a softer energy, but definitely still ready to take action. So it sounds like intuitively, if you feel like there is some kind of a good investment to make, you might want to keep an eye out for that this month. All right. And lastly, we have a Mudra card for you guys. So the Mudra for this month is Samputa Mudra. There it is there. The keyword for it is presence. All right, and there's the info on it if you want to pause it or take a screenshot. But under benefits, it says balances all 5 elements, benefits to heart and lungs, reduces mental and emotional suffering, serves as a gateway to directly experiencing your own original nature. So if that sounds like a mudra you think will be beneficial for you guys, I will put the name of it in the description video as always. Once again, happy birthday, and I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.